The story continues in the capital of Rydia. Everyone is joyously celebrating the coronation of their new emperor. Oz reassures everyone, saying things are fine and it's a peaceful night, despite their empire having come to an end. The presenter then speaks about the mourning for their late emperor, who, through science and military strength, helped mankind regain its pride. Unfortunately, the beloved emperor couldn't escape the fate of his illness. But now, it's a time of rejoicing as a new successor is appointed, the late emperor's former wife, Empress Dorothea. Empress Dorothea introduces herself as an idol, capturing the hearts of every man in the empire. They all look forward to a promising future under her rule. However, far away, there's a guy who isn't happy about this situation. He watches everything on his phone and can't fathom how the world reached this point. He believes that Dorothea, whom he sees as a witch, used science to harm her own kind and has become the most significant ruler of humanity. The guy thinks she's even crazier than the prophecies had predicted. Meanwhile, in the wastelands, we encounter Shiragoshi, who is literally having a nosebleed while watching Dorothea's coronation on his phone. He admires her as if she were a goddess. However, something disturbs him, the fact that Adonis destroyed Yamato's terminal, making him untraceable. The guy gets up, revealing his power to control multiple hands, and decides he must find Adonis in his own way. He also mentions that Adonis is loved by her goddess. The scene changes to Adonis driving with Doroka. Curious about her plans, he asks what she is going to do now. Adonis then makes it clear that he won't give up on his revenge, surprising Doroka. She suggests that there are many good people like Mr. Punch out there. However, Adonis sighs and firmly says no. He anticipates that she might ask him to avoid fighting people like Mr. Punch. Adonis acknowledges that he's allowed her to come with him, but she must never get in his way. Though startled, Doroka accepts his condition. Adonis shifts the conversation, expressing his curiosity about Doroka's magic. He assumes her love magic allows her to manipulate men by making them fall in love with her. Doroka confirms, prompting Adonis to question why she never used it on him. He points out that she could have cast the spell when they first met in Rydia. Adonis is convinced that Ophelia ordered her to bring him to the moon, even if it meant using her magic, a seemingly efficient way. However, Doroka didn't cast her magic on him, leaving Adonis puzzled. He wonders why and asks her why she tried to persuade him instead, noting a certain look in her eyes. Doroka explains that she didn't want their first meeting to be like that, and Adonis agrees, stating it would have been the worst possible way to meet. They later arrive in a small town called Sandland, and it looks completely run down. Doroka asks if it's an empty town, and Adonis just tells her to wait while he checks it out. Doroka is scared and wants to go with him, promising not to get in his way. Adonis, feeling a bit pressured, reluctantly agrees, but he's curious about her bag. Doroka explains that Mr. Punch gave her the bag before she left. She describes its contents: blankets, bandages, food, and drinks. Then, she pulls out a snowman hat, saying it's amazing. With a click of a button, it transforms into a huge tent. She happily notes Mr. Punch's style. Adonis, annoyed, walks away, and Doroka follows him as they explore the town. While walking, Doroka is pretty scared and asks Adonis if he thinks there are real ghosts there. However, Adonis is preoccupied with something else. He doesn't see any signs of fighting and can't understand why the town is empty. They come across the police station and decide to search inside for information. Adonis warns Doroka about the rundown building, but she gets scared at the sight of a mouse, bats, and webs. Adonis, annoyed by her reactions, despite her apology, reminds her to be careful or he'll leave her behind. She tries to follow him silently, but a random guy dressed as a police officer suddenly appears, asking if she's troubled. She screams and hides behind Adonis, thinking it's a ghost. The guy, however, welcomes them to the police department, tells the current time, and gives some indications. Adonis coldly informs Doroka that it's just a hologram. She's confused, asking if Adonis knows this guy, but he clarifies it's just a 3D image. Adonis walks away, calling the situation stupid. However, Doroka then realizes that the people who worked in the building were police officers. Adonis mocks her, pointing out that there is no one else living in the town anyway. Doroka bows and reassures the hologram that they aren't suspicious people. They continue exploring the building until they reach the cell rooms, and the place brings back unsettling memories for both Adonis and Doroka. Despite the discomfort, Adonis presses on. Suddenly, he stops, and Doroka, still scanning the area, bumps into his back. She tries to apologize, but he hushes her, hearing something. It turns out to be a song, echoing from the end of the corridor. They proceed and discover an old man playing a mini guitar, singing along. When Doroka attempts to interrupt, the old man doesn't seem to notice. After looking at Adonis's expression, Doroka shouts, startling the old man. He falls from his bed, surprised, and then starts screaming, demanding to know who they are and what's happening. He even mentions that the town was supposed to be empty and they shouldn't have scared him. Doroka calmly replies that they are travelers passing through. The old man, still complaining about almost having a heart attack, questions what they are doing in the town, stating that it's obvious there's nothing there. He asks if they are on a tour to check some ruins, but Adonis, in an aggressive tone, questions why he's the only one left in town. Confused, the old man explains he's there because he's a prisoner. Adonis then notices a skeleton on the bed beside the old man. He starts walking away, leaving Doroka puzzled about why he's already leaving. Adonis states that staying there is pointless, considering he finds the place terrible. Doroka is confused, but the old man smiles. He finds it amusing that Adonis mentioned there's nothing there for them, claiming everyone said the same before leaving town. The old man begins to share more, discussing the gear expansion and how mankind managed to destroy the witches. Despite this victory, people were still living in poverty. He believes that's why people couldn't handle staying in the town. He talks about how everyone once proclaimed a glorious future for mankind filled with hope and pride. They all started to migrate, a situation he finds reminiscent of 10 years ago. It's as if the witch hunt began once again. He emphasizes that the person who speaks first and loudest is the one the rest will follow. However, Adonis straightforwardly inquires if the metropolis is close to their current location. The old man responds, stating that the Principality of Mamuda is nearby. Adonis starts walking away, prompting Doroka to join him. Before leaving the building, she first apologizes to the old man for interrupting his song. As they exit, Doroka suggests to Adonis that they should help the old man. She points out that there isn't anyone else in the town, and the old man might die from starvation. Doroka believes they should assist him, even if he's a prisoner. Adonis dismisses the idea, stating it's none of their business. Undeterred, Doroka tries to stop him from leaving and asks if it would be okay to share their food with the old man. Adonis stares at her, contemplating her lack of awareness. He then reveals that the old man's cell wasn't even locked. Doroka is confused, and Adonis adds that a married couple doesn't need time. They simply need quiet time undisturbed by anyone. The scene shifts to the old man gently placing the skeleton down while having a conversation with it. He mentions that they will continue singing their song together. The old man reassures Doroka not to worry because everyone is gone now, especially those who branded her a witch and confined her to that cell. Tearfully, the old man speaks of being forever together with his wife's skeleton, acknowledging his failure to protect her. Adonis returns to the bike, noting that while the town is empty, it's still a place for that couple to be alone. He instructs Doroka to jump in as they are heading to Mamuda. This brings an end to our episode. If you enjoyed it, then don't forget to like, share, and subscribe to our channel, Annie Explainer.